All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are finally here. So we now understand the good role that music plays inside of our video. So why it's so important for our video. And we also understand how we can find good music in the first place inside of Epidemic Sound. And we've built out our music library, which is arguably the most important part of music inside of Premiere Pro. And so with this being said, let's go ahead and drag these into Premiere Pro and see exactly how we test music to find the best possible track. So once I've collected my music library, and if I'm watching a video like this, I will probably just watch through it. So let's do that real quick. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. And then I would go through and ask myself the questions. So then I would start asking myself the questions. Does this video feel X? Does it feel Y? Does it feel happy? Does it feel sad? Does it feel mysterious, sentimental, whatever it is, right? And then I would start filtering out the good tracks. Now for my case, I'm probably not going to make it feel sad and I'm probably not going to make it feel happy. I want to go with something either modern, motivational, or mysterious. So I'm going to select all three of these like this. And since I've already got the best music tracks inside of these, I could just drag these in like so. And we're going to start doing what we call testing music. So look, the thing is, we can try to assume what good tracks are going to sound like for our videos and what the best tracks are going to be. But the best way to find out is by just trying them. And honestly, I've discovered that sometimes you can try a track and then discover, oh wait, there's actually a better one. And you could do that really late. Like sometimes I'll do a track for a video, render it, post it, whatever. And in the next video, I'll be editing it and then I'll go down to like check the tracks. And I'm like, wait a minute, the previous track I used could have been changed. Like I could use something way better. So for that reason, we do what we call testing music to find the best tracks. I'm going to show you guys exactly how we do this. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to select this track, select forward, and you're just going to make sure that your scene is pretty clear because we're going to be adding a lot of tracks down here for our song, for our edit, and we're going to be testing them. So we definitely want at least like a few minutes of empty space over here. So that we can add our music tracks. So with this being said, let's dive right in. So how do we do the testing tracks? First of all, let's make all these smaller so that we can see all of them together. And you guys can see all of my sound design layers and you guys can see a bunch of tracks. I'm going to add a bunch of audio tracks down here by right clicking and adding tracks. This just allows me to do more. And I'm just going to keep them all small like that until I wanted to add my music. Awesome. I'm going to make this one just slightly bigger because I'm going to drag my music into it. So you guys can see the edit right here. Let's go ahead and start testing out music. So for Mysterious, we've got 3 different tracks. Let's give this shot a listen. I think this would be pretty interesting. We're going to just go ahead and try it. If like you don't like the intro of the music and you feel like this part would fit better for the intro, like this, you can feel free to cut that out. But let's go ahead and drag this in and let's see how this sounds. Remember, music has to be at a very low volume. This is at -9. We want it to be at -24. So let's go ahead and give it a -15. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things. Like now you can barely hear it, so I'm going to actually bump this up a bit more so you guys can hear it. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. And there we go. Boom. That's our first music track. We don't have to use this section. We can use whichever section we want. But that's our first music track. Now, how do we know if this one fits the video? Well, it sounds pretty good to me, but it's definitely not the final one I want to use. So all I do is I just leave it as it is and I just mute the layer. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another track like this, right? Something like this on top of it, like under here, and then give this one a listen. And then I'm going to be like, okay, which one do I like more? And I'll show you guys how we do this. So for this track, I know this first section is very intense, but I like this section here, over here. Something like this. This sounds very nice. So let's go ahead and just drag in this section like so. We're going to drag it under our previous song. And we're just going to align it with the beginning and place it at the end like this. And let's just give this shot a listen. Let's see how loud it is. It's very, very loud. So we got to drop this by like -30. This is still too loud. Let's give it a -5. Sorry, let's give it a +5. It's because it's too little now. And there we go. We're good. This is a sample video. I'm going to make it a bit louder so you guys can make sure that you can hear it. So I'm going to give it an 8. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. I think this fits really, really nicely. And I want you guys to notice the difference in the moods. Like look at this. If I listen to just the first soundtrack, is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and totally different. And then I switch to this. Pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Totally different video, right? So it's totally different focus. And these are two very good soundtracks. You don't have to do this for everyone. You just have to do this to the ones you think are going to work. I don't think this is going to work, and I'll tell you why. Because this one's BPM is very, very slow. This one's such like a slow, very, very slow song, and you would use this for a bit more of a sentimental video. For this video, I want something a bit more fast-paced, so I'm probably not going to be going and testing this one. Okay, let's go into our modern. Let's check this out. I'm probably not going to be using this one either. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be using this one just because I don't like the way it sounds. This one's very, very interesting. This one always tends to work. So I'm just going to give it a try just to see which one sounds the best. But I am also going to add it under our other layer. Right, whoops, not over here. Under, let's give it first of all a listen. It's at -9, so we got to give it a -15. But for you guys to still hear it, I'm only going to give it a -5, okay? And I'll place it right here. And let's go ahead and extend it over to here. Like so, and we're good to go. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes, as you guys can see, it sounds very, very good as always. Let's go ahead and mute it and test a few more. This one always sounds nice. Like I would start it over here maybe because this one's super mysterious. Yeah. And then let's finish it over here and let's go ahead and drag this in and see how this sounds. Let's add in, oh, we're running out of audio tracks. So let's go ahead and drag this down here and it's just gonna automatically add an audio track for us. Let's go ahead and move it to the beginning and let's give this a listen. Even say important things like maybe a -4 like this. Other times I'm probably gonna say something absolutely sounds super interesting. We already have 4 tracks that we can give a listen to. Check that out. This one sounds interesting too, so let's go ahead and use it. But this one is a bit more intense, so we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot. And if it doesn't work, we're just gonna not gonna use it because we have so many options now. Let's check this out. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times, yeah, it's too intense. It's way too cinematic, so I'm probably not gonna use it for this kind of video. That's interesting. I really like this. I think it sounds very nice. Yeah, I might use a section like this. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. Let's just go ahead and give it a try. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably gonna say something. Nah, you know what? I'm probably just gonna use a part from the beginning like this. I think that would fit it a bit more. But we're also going to give this a listen. Thing absolutely useless. I think it sounds very nice and very interesting. And then the final bin we've got is motivational or suspenseful. Yeah, I probably wouldn't use either of those. So with this being said now, we have got so many different tracks that we could try now. Like, check that out. Like, we can also like drag this up if you need. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tracks that we can try. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on I on my timeline and click on O. So what I just did is I created in and out points, right? And inside of those in and out points, nothing's happening. But if I turn this thing on, which you can find under the plus sign, and you can find it over here usually, it's called loop playback. It will just be kind of like hidden up here somewhere, okay? You will find it over here, and I just drag this onto my timeline like this. If I turn this on, what basically happens is between this in and out point, it's going to keep recycling, going over and over and over again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thing play and it's going to keep going over and over again. And we're just going to try to find the best kind of song for it. So let's go for this. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things. So although this track is really nice, I do think it's a bit too calm. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. Okay, and let's just give the second one a listen. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. There we go. I think that sounds very, very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this. I'll move it up. So I'm just going to mute this layer, but I'm also going to leave this in mind. Okay, so I think that's a very good one. Let's go and try another one. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I think this one fits really well, but I've used it way too many times. So I'm just going to delete it. Okay, just for the sake of the recording, because I want you guys to actually learn something. All right. Then we're going to mute this track. Let's go ahead. Sorry, let's mute this one and let's go ahead and give this one a shot. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something nice. That's super nice. All right, and let's give this last one a listen. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. This could have, they could actually totally use this, but I'm probably not going to go with it. So it's between these two tracks. So let's give both of them a listen and choose which one we want to use. Is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. Sounds amazing. Let's give this one a shot. This is a sample video. Sample video is where I speak and I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important things like this. Other times I'm probably going to say something absolutely useless. Okay, I think, you know what, I'm probably going to use this second track. And I think just either way, once you get to that point, you already have a lot of good choices. So you can by all means just use whichever one you want. So let's go ahead and turn off this loop playback. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is once you understand how music works, once you understand how to filter out music and how to build your sound library, and once you understand how to test music, just like we just did right now, we can finally add this into our edit. So I'm probably just going to tone its volume down just a tiny bit. And maybe a -2. I take a few pauses. Sometimes I might even say important. That sounds amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly how you make a great edit. Awesome. And that, guys, that is a very big moment for us, because now we are past stage 5 and we have just mastered music as well, which means now not only have you mastered draw footage, not only have you mastered text, not only have you become very, very good at animating, not mastered yet, right? Could get better at it. And not only have we basically mastered sound design and mastered music, now we've become really professional editors. You've become someone who I could give you a video. You're going to cut it up very nicely. You're going to add the best subtitles. You're going to make a great animation. You're going to make super good sound design based on the animations, and you're going to add very good music to it, which now means you are a complete editor, which brings us to the next step. To make sure that you guys are complete editors, I have added one final test to this course. And this final test is going to wrap up basically everything that this course holds. And I want to test you guys' abilities and just see if we are able to create an edit. And we're going to be doing this together just in the case that you guys can't do it. But in the next course, I'm going to introduce you guys to what we call the final test. And the final test is basically the final section of this course, which is going to test how much of this knowledge you guys still retain and how much of this knowledge you guys are actually knowing how to use. This is just to help you guys understand, number one, am I able to fully say this course is complete and move on to the next one? Or number two, should I go back and watch certain sections and keep working on my weaknesses as a video editor? With this being said, guys, let's move on to our next section, in which we're going to be completing the final test, which is going to confirm that we have now mastered Premiere Pro. I'm excited. It's only going to take us 1 or 2 hours to complete that video. So let's go ahead and dive right in.